Modern endurance athletes treat running and data collection as the exact same activity. Step across a finish line today, and a runner's first reflex is almost always to check their wrist to quantify exactly what their body achieved. A 2026 survey of over 200 habitual runners established the baseline. 98% of them regularly use GPS devices to capture their speed and distance. They maintain a perfect historical record of every mile they conquer. But the hardware industry is moving beyond historical data. The newest generation of smartwatches attempts to predict a runner's future physical readiness by harvesting complex biological measurements. We are experts at logging our past physical behavior, but as these tools begin to dictate our future actions, we have to ask a blunt question. Is this intervention actually improving our training? The star of this predictive tracking is heart rate variability, or HRV. Wearable manufacturers aggressively market it as the essential physiological metric for the everyday athlete. To understand HRV, you have to look at the space between the beats. It is a measurement of the microscopic fluctuations in milliseconds between two consecutive heartbeats. This variance provides a window into the autonomic nervous system, revealing how much stress a body is absorbing. Tech companies take this raw biometric and run it through their proprietary algorithms. They package the results into daily readiness or recovery scores, essentially issuing a digital recommendation that tells you how hard you should train that day. The central tension is simple. Are we using these diagnostics to actually alter our training outcomes, or is strapping a biological monitor to our wrists a technological placebo? To test this, researchers at Bellarmine University conducted a study measuring patient compliance. They surveyed 210 habitual runners, a group with an average of nearly 2 decades of running experience, to see how they interacted with their data. This chart illustrates the overall adoption rate within the study. Looking at the dark red section, 47% of the surveyed runners actively monitor their heart rate variability, and this chart shows us exactly who those users are. The breakdown reveals a fairly even split, with 58% classifying themselves as recreational runners and 42% identifying as competitive. The study also found a virtual hardware monopoly within this group, noting that over 70% of these HRV users rely specifically on Garmin devices to harvest their data. The sample confirms that HRV tracking has penetrated the mainstream running population. We have a massive group of athletes actively collecting and holding this advanced data. But possessing clinical data and utilizing clinical data are two different things. This is where the study exposes a severe behavioral failure. This chart displays what users actually do with their measurements. 80% of runners tracking HRV do nothing to adjust their training. Overall, only 10% of the entire surveyed population actually alter their behavior because of HRV metrics. There is a significant disconnect here. Proprietary algorithms generate readiness scores that remain unvalidated, yet they can act as a psychological nocebo, a negative suggestion that impacts performance. Emerging evidence suggests that if a watch incorrectly labels a workout as unproductive, it can directly alter an athlete's perceived effort. The feedback tells them they are exhausted, and their physical expectations drop to match the screen. For most athletes, HRV tracking isn't an effective physical intervention. It currently functions as a psychological burden that manipulates perception instead of improving training behavior. The current reality of sports technology is a feat of engineering. We have successfully democratized the collection of elite clinical data for the everyday athlete, but that achievement is eclipsed by a failure to adopt the behavioral protocols required to actually put that data to use. Coaches and athletes need to recognize a harsh truth about these metrics. Passively consuming proprietary readiness scores without making individualized adjustments to a training schedule is a useless exercise. Staring at a biometric warning light while refusing to tap the brakes doesn't make anyone a better runner. It turns a daily workout into an active psychological hindrance. Advancing athletic performance likely depends more on a runner's willingness to change their routine than on the precision of a sensor. Improving our training starts with the decision to actually listen to the data and adapt.